Okay, so welcome to this meeting. Um, Caleb is not able to be here today, so I will be leading the meeting. Um, so let's just go ahead and get started. First we have the portrait of a learner feedback, like an update and an update regarding the next steps for that gathering task from Tammy. So she could give us that update.
Hi, all. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Okay, great. So really, it's more of an infomercial to continue to press on with the task. As of Friday, I believe when I looked, we had 42 completed interviews or tasks from the test that opportunity that went out, which is great, better than certainly last time. So we just wanted to, first of all, find out if there's any questions or problems, but also to reinforce that our deadline is September 18th to get these completed. So you still have a couple of weeks to do that, which would be great. And then at that point, we'll be looking at the feedback and data and going from there.
All right, thank you, Tammy. That sounds good to me. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding that for anyone?
I have a comment just really quick.
Yes.
I am for the first time ever joining on my phone instead of my laptop, and I'm old and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get the screen to turn off and the microphone, but I haven't figured it out yet. So just like bear with me while you see the inside of my car and hear like all the traffic. I'm so sorry.
You were good. You're good. We all have our woes some days. So there's no questions or comments regarding the Portrait of a Learner feedback, correct?
Bentley, just real quick, but before we move on, I just want to interject and see if anyone had any questions. I know Caleb had sent out an email. I believe it was Caleb, maybe it came from Tammy, updating, letting folks know we had a little bit more time for the task due to the state board deciding that they would focus on this in a December meeting instead of an October meeting. Just wanted to see if anyone had any questions about that, or if that came across pretty clear that we have a little bit of a longer timeline than we thought.
I think that was good for me.
Perfect.
So shall we move on to the next agenda item, which is John with a update on the policy work group.
Thanks, Bentley. So, quick update on where we have been and where we're going. So, folks, just as a refresher, it's been a minute, but the policy work group was something the BNF committee voted to create back in April. So we were able to put together membership, which thank you to Jim, Bentley, and Audrey also for volunteering to be a part of the work, as well as Meredith for joining us. So it's been great to have our first meeting about 2 weeks ago. The structure that we've been utilizing is taking 1 or 2 recommendations per meeting. For the first meeting, talking through kind of the first steps that we might go through, considerations to think through when creating a more detailed plan around those recommendations as directed by the BNF committee. We had a few folks who volunteered to work on each of the first 2 recommendations that we decided to tackle, which were funding, specifically around providing planning grants to districts to allow them to engage more in visits to some of the Kentucky local laboratories of learning, and then also comparing and contrasting Kentucky's P20 portrait with the Council on Post-Secondary Education's graduate profile. So we've been engaging in some great back and forth with some of our partners at KDE, with the folks who have been volunteering to help us out from the BNF and a couple other stakeholders from around the state. And where we have generally got to so far, and hopefully we will have some I'm hopeful some recommendations to bring back to you all at the next meeting in October. We've, I think, started to get towards a good place with the first recommendation around funding, with some very tangible, specific pieces that we could potentially move forward with. As of right now, one of them might include some legislative action, but we still have to determine if that would be something that's necessary. But we've identified a number of different things that could be done sans legislative action. So some great things, I think, to eventually get to there. And I think for the second one around the P20 and council and post-secondary education graduate requirement, we're trying to spend a bit more time ideating on how specifically that might be kind of used. What's the use case for that specific piece? We had some great questions that a couple of our partners asked, things about, why is this needed? Who's the audience for this? What might we then create that aligns to that? So that one's a bit more ideation at this point. And then the third one that we're going to dig into this coming Friday is, and sorry for Audrey, Bentley, and Jim breaking news on this meeting, but digging in a bit more to how to chronicle the impact and then spread information about work in competency-based and student-centered learning policy to date around the state. So that's what we'll dig into a bit Friday, as well as some conversations around these first two recs, kind of where we are, how people are feeling about that. And then that is kind of the current status of the policy working group. So just as a reminder, the detailed proposals that will come out for each of these recommendations, once the policy working group has determined that it's something that they would like to recommend, it will come back to the Building a Bold New Futures Committee. The full committee here will have the opportunity to review said proposal, ask questions, determine if they want to take a vote on it under our charter, and decide if they want to send it up to the full Cool Council for consideration, or if they want to send it back to the policy working group for additional changes. So just want to make sure to reiterate that this is very much something that is being done on behalf of BNF, and nothing will, of course, go forward without the approval of this body as well. Audrey, Bentley, or Jim, I'll also add Meredith. Is there anything that any of the four of you, since you were at the first meeting, would like to add about any of this?
No, I think it's a really great group that's sort of digging in on some specifics. And so it's nice to have some concrete things for us to think upon and recommendations to make. And John's doing a great job facilitating. So very positive experience for all of us so far. So great job, John.
I'll take that one meeting in, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm just curious if the committee has talked about how, like, a timeline in terms of bringing this back towards this group to engage upon at the in-person meeting in November. Are you guys planning to have a whole sort of suite of recommendations for this group to look at, just so that this group can start to prep and think about what that in-person engagement will be when we're together next?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lillian. And I think my answer to that might be a follow-up question. I think there's a couple different ways that it could be done. I think the first option is to bring detailed proposals up to this group at the October meeting when those things are ready. I think another route we could go is try to hold things until the November meeting and give folks an opportunity to engage with them in person, ask questions, suggest changes at that point, and then those things could be dug into over the subsequent couple of months. So I could see doing either of those, or doing a hybrid where we maybe tackle one or two of them before November and then bring the remainder that we're able to get through to the November meeting. What are BNF members' thoughts about the way that you'd like us to approach it?
Are you talking about responses to the way the policy group is moving forward?
So I guess maybe I could put it this way. Hypothetical scenario. Let's say we have 4 detailed proposals to act on recommendations that we anticipate developing over the next 2 months between now and November. I think the question is, we could raise those things to the BNF as they are finished. We could hold on to all of them until November and engage with them at the in-person convening, or we could do a hybrid approach where we maybe raise 1 or 2 if they're completed at the October meeting, and then raise the remainder at the November meeting. So more, I guess,
The hybrid approach.
The hybrid approach.
Yeah, so you don't overwhelm folks. I don't know. How does the other members of the group feel? I think if you've got 2 ready to share in before the in-person convening, then go ahead and share that information out. And then in November, you can say, just like we talked about this in October with these 2 issues, we've got 2 additional ones. I like the hybrid model, but I'm willing to go with the majority of the group's feelings about it.
And I like the hybrid model as well, because I feel like one thing that could do is, if the committee as a whole had concerns about how it was being approached with the first 2 brought up, those could be addressed before the next 2 are brought up as well.
Yeah, great points, both of you. I appreciate that feedback. Edna, I did see you jump off mute. Did you want to add anything?
Are you asking me if I want to add anything, John?
I seen you come off mute before. I just wanted to make sure that if you had a thought,
I had to go get my other glasses, and when I came back, I hit unmute instead of unphoto.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. Paul, you made a great comment in the chat. Wondering if there was anything else that you might want to say on that, or thoughts on that.
Only, John, that you only get 2 swipes at the full council a year, so as you well know, and so if you wanted to get a timely recommendation from the full council, that might be something you'd push up in a faster pace.
Great flag, Paul.
Actually, a really helpful point, Paul, and I just want to pressure test an assumption then. If the Cool Council was interested in developing a policy agenda for the 2024 legislative session, would it then need to be approved by the full council in November? Otherwise, we could not have a Cool Council document for the 2024 legislative session. Is that a correct assumption?
That seems reasonable to me, Lillian, that would be the natural process flow. So yes, I think we would need to have pieces. I think, John, just the way that our group is working, I don't know that we'll be able to have all of the recommendations that were flagged fully vetted and thought through, but I think we could probably bring a portion to November and kind of prioritize those items.
And I think this is a great time, Meredith, to flag just one other, I think, constructive and positive development that's come up in some of our internal planning meetings around Cool Council work, something that popped up a few weeks back. One of the recommendations that you all asked the working group to look into was things around state accountability. Is that the Accelerating Innovation Committee is also still in the process of working through their proposed updated model for what an accountability system that incorporates learnings from the L3 could look like. So I think one positive development is we're having some conversations with them about how we might sync up our work to them, more just flagging that for awareness that given that that is something that is still in development, unfortunately, it seems a bit premature then for us to make recommendations for a model that is still in the process. So those may get pushed a little bit. So a couple of the things from April might end up not being fully ready by the November meeting. But again, not because of anything negative, just wanting to make sure that any recommendations that come out are supportive of the work that's going on elsewhere in the Cool Council.
And just for the group's awareness, Jim did put in the chat, November 2nd and 3rd are firm, so those are the dates for the next convening. It'll be back in Frankfurt at the Sauer Building, sort of where we started. We'll have an annual return to Frankfurt. So yes, November 2nd and 3rd. Save the dates.
So I'm sorry, this is Dr. Chappelle. Are they going to email this information as well to us?
Yes, I don't think Susan has joined. I know she's planning to call in a bit. So if I see her, we can ask her to provide more of a timeline. But yes, there will be a full meeting invite to go out with the proposed times, a tentative agenda. All of that will come from Karen Dodd and Susan Strange. I would imagine soon. We're still kind of finalizing the agenda, but Paul, unless you know otherwise, I would imagine that invite will go out soon.
Thank you, I appreciate it, because I know my calendar is getting full kind of quickly.
Any other questions about the policy working group or anything related to it before I pass it back to Bentley?
So John, this definitely goes in the related category, but I do want to share with the group, as you know, it is Commissioner Glass's last month with us at the department. His last day in the role will be September 29th. So the board actually met in August to authorize a request for proposals for a search firm to conduct a national search for a replacement commissioner. So that will obviously be a multiple month process. The board will name an interim to serve while we do that search. But I wanted to put in the chat, there is a sort of landing page on the KDE website where we will be updating where we are in that process and relevant information. So if you want to bookmark that, if you're interested in sort of our search, that is the place to go for real-time updates. That's all. Okay, Bentley.
Oh, well, okay, well, 3 times. The next, so there are no more questions, comments, or concerns regarding the policy work group update. Do not think so. Okay, we're good. Let's move on to the cross-committee collaboration discussion, which was supposed to be Caleb, but since he is not here, I would like to pass that on to Paul.
Paul, are you able to, yes, real time, sorry to cold call on you, but we know that you tend to participate in the other meetings. So if you could share some information about what the other committees are working on, we would appreciate that.
Right. I think that the other committees like BNF are working on their 6-month goal with the idea of creating a report relative to their 6-month goal at the November meeting and trying to firm up recommendations. So like was heard just a little while ago about the Accelerating Innovation group, they're looking to move forward on their system of systems recommendation. And they really would welcome any questions or thoughts from the other 2 committees as they think about that. And I know that Caleb, when he has attended other meetings, has also shared the work that is being done by BNF relative to both the recommendation for the Portrait of a Learner, as well as other work that you're doing around policy development, and has shared similar requests to the other committees. The Vibrant Learning Committee has been working on creating a platform where they can really have a sense as to what does it mean to have vibrant learning, to really have a clear definition of vibrant learning and vibrant learning experiences, and then to have a quality set of indicators that would be on a platform that they could then collect examples of that from around the state, and they're looking at a number of options, like the Canopy National Canopy Project as one. And they've actually had discussions with Accelerating Innovation as to whether that platform might also serve for the system of systems capturing of local examples. So that's an example where those two committees are working together. So I wasn't prepared to give this presentation, but that's what I've collected at this point. Hopefully that will serve to give you a sense as to what's going on. I know Audrey also attends other meetings from time to time, and she might also have something to add.
I think that summed it up pretty well, Paul. I will say, if you read the newsletter updates each month, you can go back if you're curious about what each committee is doing. They have representatives from their groups who are talking about what they're doing, and they're always open. If you're interested, if you have questions for them, they're always open to answer those for you. So go check your email if you have any questions about those.
And I do apologize for putting you on the spot, Paul. So are there, I feel like Paul gave a pretty good explanation and discussion regarding cross-committee collaboration. Are there any more comments or additions or questions regarding that?
I think a question I'd like to pose to the group, since we do have Audrey, our outstanding chair here, are there any certain topics or experiences that you're hoping to have at the November convening as we're sort of finalizing the agenda? It would be great for her to be aware of those so that she can bring that forward to Karen and the planning team. So is there anything that you were hoping to have as part of the convening in November? Alternatively, is there anything you want us to not replicate from prior convenings? Okay, Audrey, I guess you're...
I will say we are going to have a celebration of our 1-year anniversary. So if you wanted more like yay fun party things, we're definitely going to do that, and there will be dessert. So be excited.
It'll have a party-like atmosphere. That sounds great. Thanks, Audrey.
Is that all for this agenda item? This meeting feels like it is going by really quickly. So I don't know if that's me or what, but we all get to go eat supper early tonight, folks. So for the next item on the agenda, and the second to last item, is the committee members sharing / good news. Does anyone have anything that they would like to just get out there? Good news, any information to share regarding, well, anything really? It can be related to BNF, but it doesn't have to be. Just any good news. Okay, quiet group, quiet crowd. Going once, going twice, 3 times, and no positive stuff. Okay, so for the next meeting dates, we have the 2nd of October, which is a Monday. Which, yes, I do believe that's a Monday. Is that a Monday? Yes, that is a Monday. So the next meeting of this committee prior to the convening will be the 2nd of October, which is on a Monday. And then after that, we will have our 2-day convening in Frankfurt at the Sauer Building on the 2nd and the 3rd of November, which is a Thursday and a Friday. So with that, if there are no more questions, comments, points of order, table discussions, I feel like we can adjourn. That's great, Jessica.
That's an important life skill, Jessica. I feel like that's a win. Good job. Jim, thank you for mentioning that. I know I was not able to attend the August BNF meeting, so I'm not sure if this was shared, but we had a great presentation from 2 of our L3 districts during the August meeting that we had in Dale Hollow. Superintendents that came really spoke from the heart about how important this work is, and they really petitioned the board to stay the course and to really work toward the transformation that everyone is seeking. So if you have not already watched the recording from that meeting, it is linked on the KDE website. It really was inspirational. It was on the first day of the 2-day meeting. All right, Bentley, I second your motion to adjourn there. So you did a great job.
I hope I did. I mean, half-an-hour meeting, short and sweet, but I
That's
mean,
great.
we didn't really have a big agenda this time around.
We
So
did. No. We got through everything, and if anything comes up that you have questions on about the policy work group, I know John's happy to entertain questions. Certainly let us know if you're having any issues with the Portrait of a Learner task. You can email Tammy or myself, and we're happy to assist with that. But do continue seeking out feedback around that proposed change. Ideally, you'll do that in an interview format where you'll be sitting with the identified respondent, asking them those questions and putting them into the form so that you can engage with them and answer questions they may have. Otherwise, you can share it as a kind of a survey, electronic form for them to fill out, but hopefully they'll take the time to watch the video and read all the additional information that's provided. But thanks, everyone. I think this was an efficient meeting, Bentley. I think that's what the takeaway is. Efficiency is always good.
we love efficiency. So I hereby adjourn this meeting. We can all go eat.
Thanks, Bentley. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.